What's up, guys? It's Casey Zogelman, aka the Fourth Sanderson Sister, coming at you with my Hocus Pocus 2 spoiler review. We've done the spoiler-free review. We have done the full watch-along. Finally! Oh my god, that took forever. Before you guys ask, why didn't you just watch it with headphones in? Because it was my first viewing of Hocus Pocus 2, and I wanted to do it on my TV and not a laptop. That's why. Now, to be fair, I did regret that later. About 4 hours into editing audio, I just kind of sat there and went, why are you the way that you are? But now, we are here for the spoiler review. The spoiler-free review you can watch by clicking on this thing right here. If you have not seen it, I do not recommend you go much further in this video if you have not yet watched Hocus Pocus 2, because this is the spoiler review. I am talking about spoilers. I am talking about the movie from beginning to end. This is the spoiler review. This is your final warning. Everything will be spoiled if you go any further and you have not yet watched this movie. Okay? Okay. Now, go watch it if you haven't, and then come back. I'll see you guys at the end of the intro. So, welcome to my spoiler review. I have my book full of notes right here. Yes, it is book, but that's actually what I named my laptop. I named my laptop book. So, this is my journal, or one of my many, many, many journals. I've got this one. I've got, oh, I skipped a page. Whoops. I've got a Death Note journal. I've got so many journals. But I'm going to be using him to keep up with my spoiler review. Just going down the list. I think I've got, like, I got a lot of notes. We got a lot of notes to cover. Because we're talking about the movie from beginning to end. So let's just go into it. I'm just going to go ahead and say, overall, I think it's an 8 out of 10. I think it is an 8 out of 10. It was missing a couple of notes, but I still absolutely love this movie, and I'm going to watch it over and over until I have it memorized, and I'm never going to get through it without crying, as I just figured out on my third watch through. I am probably never going to get through it without crying. It's going to be my new Toy Story 3. That's fine. It's fine. I'm fine. My phone's going off. But they're just gonna have to wait. So, yeah, that's, it was really good. It was really fun. It's not as good as the first one. But it is so good, and I enjoyed it. And I just want to apologize to every single one of you who have expressed your disappointment, and expressed that you did not like it. Some of you just outright saying you thought it stunk. This is going to be a very positive review, so if you don't like positivity, this is a rare occurrence for me, because I'm usually a very negative person, in real life. If you don't like positivity, may I suggest you exit now, because I am going to talk about this thing in a warm and loving light, while also addressing, the flaws that I picked out personally. So, let's dive right in. I think the overall tone was fantastic. They stuck with a really good tone from the first one. The threat was more general than it was just target on, like, a specific group. And I thought that was actually really cool, that it's not just the children of Salem that were in danger this time. It was all of Salem. Shows you that the Sanderson sisters were not playing around this time. They were not here to just live till sunrise. No, no, no. They were here to wreck shop and take names and basically just rule all of Salem, and I loved it. I loved that they went in a different path. But, the score, Debney's score, was spot on. It was spot on. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. I cannot wait to get the soundtrack. You guys, I know it's on Spotify, but I don't have Spotify. I've been listening to it on YouTube, but I don't have Spotify, and my hard copy that I pre-ordered on Target is not coming out until, like, the last week of October, so, yeah, that kind of sucks, but hey, it's fine. So let's get to the specifics. I thought the prologue was brilliant. The prologue was great. That was a great prologue. It was a great backstory. The baby Sandersons they stole my heart. They absolutely stole my heart completely. And I loved them. I loved them. They did so good. It's like I said in my spoiler-free review. They were great. The 3 actresses did great. Taylor Henderson was a fantastic young Winifred. She absolutely destroyed it. I loved it. She was great. Nina was adorable as Mary. I loved her. She was so much fun. And little baby Sarah, God bless Juju Brenner. She was so cute. They were so cute. They were so fun. They did such a good job with them. Frankly, I like how they addressed, and a lot of people are probably going to say, this was so woke. No, this was the 1600s. This was the 1600s, and yeah, you were married by, like, age 16 whenever you were living in the 1600s. Because back then it was grow up, and by grow up, I mean get to teenagehood, get betrothed, marry, and start having families of your own. And I liked that Winifred was like, yeah, I'm not doing that. I liked that. I liked that a lot. Being forced into something like that's not okay. And I loved how it was handled. I love how it was addressed. I think it was great. And I like how they even did the arranged marriage thing, which was a huge thing back then. It was great. We got to see young Billy for a brief moment. More on him later. But I thought that was really fun. We shared one kiss in the graveyard. Gives you a little taste of what Winnie's personality was like when she was a kid. And I liked seeing them as children. I liked seeing how they interacted with the town. They were always kind of seen as weird. Clearly their dad was the apothecary, which kind of gave them the whole knowledge of potions in a way. So I really liked that too. I thought that was cool. So yeah, that was really cool. We'll talk about their dad again in a minute. Tony Hale did amazing in both parts. I'll get to him later. I liked his portrayal of Reverend Trask. I like that he was called Reverend Trask, even though it sent me on a paranoid journey for about a year now. Because I've been gunning for him since day one. And I'll talk about it and apologize in a little bit. I liked that it was an Easter egg to Dark Shadows. If that was even what it was meant to be, I feel like it was, though. You don't just pull that name out of thin air and be like, that works. No, that had to be a Dark Shadows Easter egg. And as somebody who likes Dark Shadows, thank you, Jen. I enjoyed that a lot. A note on the score, it was very familiar, but it was also very different. It was great. It was great. I loved it. This was just a brief note. I just said could easily see a prequel. I could easily see a prequel. And I would watch a prequel. I really liked the prologue. I really liked all the stuff that was going on in there. I could see a prequel, and I would not be upset if they decided to do a prequel. More on that later. I like that they were clearly born witches, which is what we figured out whenever Hannah gave him the snoofing. She gave him a sniff, and she was like, I can sense power in you. And I'm like, yes, they were born! They were born witches! That makes me happy! I wanted them to be born witches so bad. And I'm very happy that it was great. It was great. It was great. Very glad that's what they did. I kind of wish we'd seen more of Hannah's character. I'm not gonna lie to you. She was very interesting. Again, I would watch a prequel. But, I think it's very clear that Mother used the Magica Maxima on herself. And that's why her coven was missing. And that's why she told Winnie, hey, don't do that. But she didn't outright say, this is why. And that could have solved a lot of stuff later. But hey, the plot has to happen, right? But yeah, book's intro was really sweet. I like how Winifred took to him right away. And she was calling him Mr. Book. That was just the cutest thing. It was so cute. It was so cute. I liked it. And I'm gonna go ahead and say, I know there's a plot hole there, because everybody's like, but in the first movie they said, here's an important line. Legend has it. Legend has it. The legend of the Sanderson sisters. Not everybody knows what went on back there. Trask was the one reporting everything. Gilbert was the one who was like, yeah, I read all of Trask's journals. Trask is the one who carried it on. Of course he's going to be the one to say the devil did this, the devil did that, they were servants of the devil, etc., etc. Which clearly they were, because they make direct references to him later. But that's where the whole it was given to her by the devil himself thing came through. He thought a spider was the devil. So, I mean, come on. If he's the one carrying on the legend, yeah, it's going to do that. That's an easily explained plot hole. So I'm just going to go ahead and get it out of the way. It didn't retcon anything. It just clarified. That's all it was. So, moving into modern times, because that was about it from the beginning. Other than I really wish we'd seen a little bit more of Hannah's character. And I could definitely see Into the Woods coming out in her. And I know she played the witch in Into the Woods before, but, like, I was watching and I was like, she's about to break into Last Midnight. Like, I really could feel that musical number rising up, and I'm like, wrong movie! Although, if they wanted to go back and redo Into the Woods with her as the witch instead of Meryl Streep, I wouldn't say no. Wrong movie. So, moving into modern times, Becca's character... Becca is interesting. She's an interesting case for me. Because I didn't hate her, but I also didn't love her. And again, this is not a reflection on Whitney Peak or anything. Anything I say is not a reflection on the actors. Let me just throw that out there right now. It is strictly from a character standpoint. Becca's character was a good concept, but her execution was a little weird. It was okay. Because for a year we've been like, oh, Becca's a practicing witch. She's going to be a believer in witches and magic and all this stuff. She's a loner. She's going to be like this. And then that's not what it was. She really didn't believe in all the magic stuff, which was weird. I was like, but you're the one with... You do the... What? Like, I didn't... This is where it kind of did the 8 out of 10 for me. She was just off. She felt off for me. I didn't really know how I felt about that. I just watched it for the 3rd time before I did this. And I think that's what bothered me about her, is because she's supposed to be this, like, practicing witch who's into the mystic arts, who's into the mysticism and all that stuff. And she's over here going, well, that's what Gilbert says to get people to buy it in the shop. That's what... Though the Angelica leaves are clearly not going to work. Izzy believed more in magic than Becca, the practicing witch, did, which made no sense. I did not care for how her character came off. I didn't hate Becca, but I also didn't love her because of that. I think if she had just actually believed in magic a little more, she would have been fine. Like, I would have liked her. If she had done that. Oh yeah, in all caps, I write, Mike sucks. Mike sucks. He has no purpose in this movie. Why was he here? This is one of those things that I was talking about when I said we have 12 characters supposed to be in this movie. They are probably not all needed. Mike was not needed. He was the most useless thing I think I've ever seen. You could introduce him briefly to be like, oh yeah, and I'll talk about this fix a little later too. To be like, oh yeah, he's the reason that Becca and Cassie are not getting along. Because he sucks. He sucks as a human being. Like, I went to school with people like him, and I did not like those guys either. I just did not care for him. I didn't think he was good, and he really wasn't necessary to the plot. At all! He's useless. Of the new characters, of the new trio, the new main kid trio, Izzy was the best member of the new trio. Izzy was great. She is my favorite of the new girls. I love Izzy, and I'll die on that hill. She has the most memorable lines. She believed in magic more than Becca did. She got him out of most of the jams. I like Izzy. I like Izzy a lot. Again, Becca could have been better with more development. And she had a great moment in the beginning. I thought I was going to like her during the classroom scene because she was just naming vegan foods in a really low voice and freaking Mike out. That was hilarious. That was funny. I wish she had kept that level through the whole movie. But as soon as she started being a disbeliever in magic, I was like, oh, you're not as fun. Again, she wasn't the worst, but Cassie needed more airtime. Like, we needed more of Cassie for the simple fact that we didn't really know what she was like. That's it. I don't really have an opinion on Cassie other than that. It's just, she was okay. She was good for what she was there for, which was, I guess, plot. But, that was a very realistic representation of what it's like being on awkward terms with somebody. Woo! I was watching her scenes with Becca at the beginning going, yeah, been there. Ooh, this is making me uncomfortable. I don't like it. Because I have a few people like that in my life. And it's really weird and not fun at all. I do not enjoy those conversations. So, yeah, that was a thing. I just wish we could have known what she was like before. But yeah. Alright, we've gotten to him. So we're getting into the Scarefest setup. And we meet Mayor Trask for the first time. Yeah, I know. Trask wasn't sus, I know. He wasn't the bad guy. He was just a well-meaning idiot. Like, I'm a little disappointed that I'm wrong. But at the same time, good job on keeping me on my toes. I don't know. I just kind of... He's another one that I'm kind of like... I get why you were here. But why are you here? He really wasn't... He was really funny. He was really funny, but I mean, I needed more from him. And I'll explain why I keep saying this later, because it was a be careful what you wish for kind of thing that happened to us, and I think you guys will probably end up agreeing with me. But yes, I understand. Trask is not sus. I was way off in left field with him. Look, when you watch Dark Shadows, all 1,225 episodes of Dark Shadows, and every time a Reverend Trask shows up, and he's a bad guy, and he ends up killing your favorite character at the end, multiple times, multiple storylines, you don't trust Trasks. You don't. I'm sorry. I got triggered as soon as I heard his name. I was like, well, he's automatically sus. And I didn't let it go until the movie. So, my apologies to Tony Hale for thinking you were going to be the secret bad guy because Dark Shadows screwed me up. I'm sorry. So, we're moving into them visiting the magic shop for the first time, and we meet Gilbert the Great. Here's what I have for Gilbert. Gilbert is me. I am Gilbert. I loved Gilbert's character. I loved Gilbert. I didn't know how I felt about him either. But he was my favorite of the new guys. Of all the new guys. Gilbert was my favorite. Because I, too, am a Sanderson fangirl. He was obviously a fanboy. But I'm over here just going, I would also do what he did. Yeah. I feel attacked, but I like him. He was fun. He was funny. His telling of the legend was great. The flashbacks were really well entwined in that. What's a virgin? Thank you. Thank you, Jen D'Angelo, for putting that joke in there. That was perfect, because we all know the first time a kid goes and watch Hocus Pocus, their first question is, what's a virgin? And it was great. And Gilbert's, it's a person who has never lit a candle. It was just, God, that was great. That was great. That child was so funny. And his mom, if you didn't know, was played by Jen D'Angelo, who wrote the movie. Oh my God, it was so funny. That was just, mwah! Thank you. Cobweb is a cute cat, and I love Cobweb. So we're moving on to the summoning now. I like that they used some practical effects in that. I liked that. That was clearly shot on a soundstage, which was great, because that means they could do practical effects, and then they could also sprinkle in a little CGI. Mary's mouth joke was great, and it was so brief, but it was great. I liked it. The smack, and it goes to the other side and stays there. So the witches are back. A++ on my music meter. I loved that song. That was a banger. I just wish we could have heard more of it. Like, I wish we had actually heard more of it instead of the cutaways we were doing. Although it did kind of keep in time with I Put a Spell on You, because we did cutaways during that too. But it felt like it got cut off too early, and I really wish they had just finished the song. But that made up for it in the credits when they did the recording studio music video, and I'm just like, nope, this is fine. This is fine. A little more Sanderson shenanigans after all the pain I just went through. Yes, that's good. Yes, it was good. I love that song. I have downloaded it to my laptop. It is amazing. I cannot wait to be blasting it in the car. Oh my God, it's so good. So the pacing of this movie. Whoa. It's like, I think this is an issue. Because what did we say we wanted back when this was first announced? We wanted more Sanderson sisters. We wanted more Sanderson sisters instead of the children. We didn't really want more of the kids. Well, we got our wish. Be careful what you wish for, because this movie moved too fast at points. This was the other thing that made it an 8 out of 10. This movie moved, and it did not stop. We didn't have time to get to know anybody. We didn't have time to get the world lived in, to understand Becca's life, to understand Izzy. Definitely... Cassie and Becca's stuff needed to come out earlier. They didn't have to confront each other earlier, but that's where you use Izzy to be like, yeah, ever since she started hanging out with Mike, she's just not as fun. You just establish that. If you just establish that earlier on, give us a little time with that, it would have been good. And I would have liked them a lot better. But yes, the pacing is too fast in this movie. Holy mother of mercy. It's fast. But it still hits its beats. I just kind of wish it had pulled back just a little bit. Because I think that was one thing that the first one got right. Was you spend half the time with the witches and you spend half the time with the kids. We had so much fun with the Sanderson sisters in this movie, and I ain't complaining with how much Sanderson sister shenanigans we got. I loved every second. But we needed a little more time with these kids. Because that helps slow it down and give us a break. At points. Izzy is the best. Izzy is the best of the new trio. And I'm just gonna quickly remind you guys. I love this line. Because I felt that in my soul. My mom keeps sending me blurry pictures of cookies. Just buy the cookies, Susan. No one cares. That was just... Yes. Yes. Izzy's the best. Frankly, I thought the meta humor that some people have complained about, I thought the meta humor was great. But I'm also a person who loves fourth wall breaks. So if you don't like fourth wall breaks, the meta humor is not going to make you very happy. But oh my gosh, it cracked me up whenever they started doing the witches are back, and then Izzy's like, I don't know, but I can't stop watching them. I'm like, yes! And the whole and every time they made the jokes of, oh, thou worship us and stuff like that, I'm like, oh, I love this meta humor. It was so funny. I liked Mary's which one did you like best, and all three of them kind of politely squabbling with each other. Sarah, get in line, get in line. I'm just like, dang, don't you dare turn us against you three. That was so much fun. It was so much fun. I loved it. The laughter starts as soon as the sisters come back. Like, as soon as they come back, the shenanigans are getting on a roll, and we're going to be laughing for the rest of this movie, or at least that's what we thought until we got to the end and we all cried. Which I will talk about that. Remember how I was talking about the father? That was... I want to say it's a retcon, but it's also not a retcon, because we only know about their parentage from interviews, which I don't necessarily think that's canon if it's just interviews, because it wasn't talked about in the story. So, father of the Sanderson sisters was an apothecary, and they all had the same dad instead of 3 different dads. Now we don't know who their mother was. It's like, why don't you make up your mind? We thought we knew who their mom was, and then we don't. Still don't know who Mama was. Now we know that their dad was an apothecary. So, I wouldn't say that's a retcon. Maybe more of a confirmation. Sorry, I had to search for my word there. Yeah, it was more of a confirmation. It's not really a retcon. Walgreens was hilarious. I know there are a few people who have kind of been like, oh, that was just product placement for Walgreens. But wasn't it funny? It was so funny. I loved it. That was such a beautiful homage to the deleted grocery store scene from Hocus Pocus 1. So if you didn't really care for the Walgreens scene, you probably wouldn't have cared for the deleted scene in the first one. I thought it was so funny. I liked that they were drinking the lotions and spraying each other with perfume. The face mask thing made me laugh too hard because Becca just leans over. Should we tell them? No. I loved that. Just like, it had the same energy of Kristoff and Anna. I'm gonna tell him, don't you dare. Like, that was funny. I liked that. The selfie thing, give me a break. They were like, photo, what's a photo? And then they just went and struck a pose anyway. It was so funny. It was so funny. I loved it. The little box lies. Oh my god. The selfie thing is hilarious. I don't know. I don't even remember why I wrote this in here, but it's not incorrect. Kathy is our queen, and we love Kathy. Oh, it's because of the Roombas. It was when she was taking off on the Roombas. Kathy is our queen. God, she cracked me up. I don't know if that was, like, scripted or if that was one of her improv moments, but when she said, I'm surfing Cowabunga, I lost my crap. It was so funny. It was so funny. I loved it. She is our queen and she should be treated as such. The Roombas were like, look, look, I love this movie as a whole, but if you were gonna tell me that the Roombas were gonna be like my favorite addition to this, I would have laughed in your face at the beginning, but oh my god, I'm so glad they did it. It was so funny, and I was right. They got personalities. That was what I wanted. Oh, I wanted that so bad. It was like she was being followed by a bunch of R2-D2s. It was great. And she called them broomies. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. The Roombas were great. I'm not done with talking about the Roombas, but I'm done with talking about the Roombas for now. Gilbert being behind all of this was a good twist. That was a good twist. I liked that they tied him back to the first one. He was one of the kids that Jay and Ice tormented that night. And he saw the Sanderson sisters flying through the town, and then he followed them to the graveyard, and he saw them explode, and thus began his obsession with the Sanderson sisters. I thought that was great. I liked that Book was like, hey, you want to help me make another black flame candle? I don't know where he got the fat of the hanged man, but I mean, there were 2 people in cages. Do with that what you will. But I thought that was great. Again, I wrote, Gilbert is me. Gilbert is me. I am Gilbert. Sarah's character growth. Several of you guys have said she felt off. No, I think she was really just, that was some character growth she experienced, and it was great. I like how she's still the sensible one, at the end of the day. She may not be the brightest, but she's still the one who's got the smartest ideas, and is the most sensible. I liked it whenever Winnie and Mary are trying to pry the book open, and Sarah just blatantly says, I have mixed feelings about helping right now, and I'm like, because you're over here going, something's probably not good here. Instincts. I liked it. I liked how they treated Sarah this movie. I'm gonna really get to that in a little bit, but I like how she got more, she got some more lines this time, which I thought was great. And again, I like that they decided to pursue another course. I know, again, I've seen several people, other reviewers and stuff, saying that capturing children, sucking the souls out of them is their whole thing. I can't believe they deviated from the formula. But here's the thing. If they hadn't deviated from the formula, if they hadn't done something different, would we not hear a bunch of other complaints of, well, they just copied and pasted the first movie. It's just the first movie all over again. Where's the new original thing? This is the problem with any movie. It's all going to come down to personal opinion at the end of the day. Frankly, I loved that they went off in a different direction because I think it gave more substance. I really do think it gave more substance. It gave us a fun new adventure. It gave us fun new magic. Holy crap, that was smart. But I really do. I like that they decided to pursue another course instead of being like, well, instead of trying to temporarily fix it, let's just fix it. Yes, do that. And the chemistry between the three of them, oh my god. It's still perfect. It's still perfect 29 years later, and it was still spot on. It was so perfect. Sarah, Jessica, Sarah, Jessica, and Kathy, and Bet are our golden trio, and they did so well. I had so much fun watching them. It was amazing. They continue to work together perfectly. They continue to be great friends in real life, and I love it. I love it. I love it. I loved every second they were on screen. Oh my god, I loved it. Now, let me go back into the story. I just had to be like, their chemistry is just so good. I love it. The no escape spell for the basement, that was really cool. And again, I love that we saw more magic in this movie. I love that we saw new magic in this movie. That was awesome. I also always thought they had a basement. And I'm glad that my suspicions were confirmed. I thought that was really cool. Billy not being back to sleep was an interesting twist. I was not expecting that, and I really liked it. I did. I really liked it. But we got all this build up to find out more about Billy and Winifred's backstory and his affair with Sarah, and there was literally nothing to tell. Like, I get it. Again, it was a legend. Because the same excuse can be made for the book thing. But this was a plot point that really stuck out in the first one. And we were promised it being fleshed out more and the truth would come out and stuff. I was expecting a little more than we shared one kiss in the graveyard and she sullied my name for the rest of my life. That was not an explanation. That just gave me more questions. Like, was she stalking him for years after that? Where does Sarah fit into all this? Because Sarah even confirms that she's like, well, actually, Billy was my lover. And Winifred's like, yeah, but you were just a fling. So, I'm confused. Was that their way of maybe canonizing some of the stuff they did in the reunion from 2020? But I don't know. I expected more out of that explanation, and I am a little disappointed in the fact that we still don't have any answers. We just have more questions. It wasn't bad. I like that it was, we shared one kiss. But go into more detail with that. Why did you share one kiss? Was she stalking him after that? Did he actually fall in love with Sarah? Did Winifred find out about them falling in love and she put a stop to it because of that? Like, I have more questions than I have answers, and I'm not super thrilled about how that was handled. But other than that, it was great to see Billy again. I just wrote in here, Broomies. Yeah, anytime the Roombas were on screen, I was just like, and everything's great in the world. I did. I loved the Broomies. It was so much fun. The Scarefest was really cool. I liked the little bits in the Scarefest. I think there was some stuff that was cut, which I understand. Maybe we'll get an extended edition. I would not be mad about that. The Scarefest was really fun, though. I liked that. They're drowning a man. I like this festival. That was so funny. They were funny. Winifred confronting the person handing out poisoned apples. Amateur. I loved it. Loved it, loved it. Yes. This is my next bit where I just have to say it. Izzy should have been the main character of the trio. Or, you know, make Becca a little bit more like Izzy. I don't know. I really liked Izzy. Izzy was so much fun. She believed in magic more than Becca did, and it kind of bothers me that's how it went off. So, yeah, that was just one thing I really wish they would have fixed. Izzy was better than Becca, which is not great in the long run, because Becca's kind of supposed to be the main character of the new trio, and she just kind of felt a little flat. But again, I didn't hate the kids, I just didn't love them either. I loved Izzy. I liked Izzy a lot. She was a lot of fun. But I don't know. It's just, I'm more conflicted on the kids with anything else. Or than anything else. Book having more personality this time was awesome. That was a really great directional choice, and I'm glad they did it. I like that Book got to have opinions. I like that he had a conscience, in a way. I love how he was trying to protect Winifred, because he saw what happened. I'm assuming it's because he saw what happened with Mother, 300 years prior, when she got rid of her coven by accident. And he's like, yeah, you're not doing this. We're not going to do this. We're not doing this. Please don't do this. Obviously, he had to comply in the end, but he was like, really, we don't need to do this. I loved that Book had more of a personality. It was great. The costume contest. That was awesome. That little bit was great. Again, it goes back to the meta humor, but I really thought it was fun. The 3 drag queens from RuPaul, they were funny. I liked the lose the teeth, mind your business. That was good. I liked that. They were fun. Mary walking up to the dude dressed up as her. He did not look very enthused to be there. I liked that it was a mom, clearly a mom, a dad, and a kid that were doing it, and it was probably the kid who wanted to do it. That is a committed father, and he did it anyway. I just like how Mary walked up to him and went, is that what I look like? Damn, boy. Or, no, she says, damn, girl, we sexy. Or we're foxy, not sexy, we're foxy. That was so funny. Again, Kathy is our queen. It was so great. Oh my god. Again, all 3 of the witches did fantastic, though. I just... those moments stuck out to me, and I'm just like, God, I love Kathy. So yeah, the costume contest thing was hilarious, and I'll be honest with you, I both love and hate that they had the Sandersonettes win, because that was the most realistic costume contest representation I have ever seen portrayed in a movie, and it kinda hurt my soul a little, because I have gone through that. You put so much work into your costume, it looks so good, you look so like the character, and then the person in the slutty witch dress or whatever, slutty nurse costume walks up and is just like, hi, I won because I look pretty, and you're like, you put in no effort at all. That was great, and I'm glad Winifred hit the judges in the head with that trophy. They deserved it for letting them win. I'm a little salty about how many times I've gone through that in real life. One way or another is a banger. It's a banger. It is a banger. I just wish it had had more time on the stage. That's the only thing, is it was our stage number, and I wish we'd seen more of a stage number than half a stage number and half a montage. Which, again, I enjoyed the montage. Don't get me wrong. That was fun. I liked that montage. But with the song, I wish we had finished the song first. Then we can play it over the montage. But it was really cool. The choreography for that was great. I loved it, loved it, loved it. But it needed a little longer on stage. I'm doing a whole Easter egg video, but I absolutely have to say this one right now. Thank you for including Gary and Penny Marshall. That warmed my heart. That made me so happy. It warmed the aortas of my heart. I loved that they got a cameo. And it was literally just them, their scene from the movie. And then you also saw a couple dressed up as them. Thank you. Thank you for that. You needed to include those legends, and I'm glad you did. It made me so happy to see those two get recognized. Now, I expected more from Billy and Gilbert's bromance that was supposed to be played up. Where's my bromance? Where is my buddy cop movie that I was told I was going to get? I'm a little sad that happened. It was still fun to watch them, but, like, Doug even said in an interview that it was gonna be kind of like a bromance, where we'd get to see him get a friend and friendship and stuff, and I did not see enough of that. I just didn't see enough of that. I expected more out of their bromance. But that was it on them. I'm gonna say it again, because he came back. Mike is legit useless, and I hate him. He had no point. He had no point in being there at all. You could have eliminated him from this movie and it wouldn't change a thing. We don't need Mike. Mike was not useful. He was not useful. Breaking into Trask's house, spread out, was still just as funny as it was in the trailer. And they did the thing. They did the thing I wanted. And I'm so happy they did the thing I wanted. I don't know if it was a Siri or if it was an Alexa. But they did it. They had the Sanderson sisters talk to Siri. And it made me so happy. Winnie, there's a small woman trapped in that box. Oh my gosh. As soon as I heard I didn't quite catch that, I was like, oh, they're doing the thing. They're doing the thing! I was so happy. Oh, that made me so happy. Again, Trask. He comes back. He does his little bit with the sisters. He was funny. I liked his monologue about not getting his candy apple. I actually felt bad for the poor guy by the end of the night. Just give him his dang caramel apple. But, while he was funny, and he did provide some comic relief, he was kind of pointless in the modern day aspect. Like, he was there to be the target for the sisters, but objectively, he didn't do much. He would have been better if he was the secret villain. But I enjoyed him. He was a lot of fun. Tony Hale had me cracking up several times. I liked him a lot. I just have another note. Our girls rock. Yes. They do. Our girls rock. We love them so much. We love the Sanderson sisters. Can we just appreciate how much Sanderson shenanigan we got in this? It was just so much fun. They are so fun. They are so funny. I love them. I love them. I love them. I love them. Trask Gothic Golden Girls joke killed me. Yes, because I have always been like, if they were to ever, from my mouth to no one's ears, I hope, if they were to ever remake the Golden Girls, bet Sarah and Kathy. That is the only way I will ever accept a Golden Girls reboot. Bet Sarah and Kathy. Because, yep, it was, yep, I have the Gothic Golden Girls in my garage. Thank you. It was so good. Alright, we're going to jump ahead a little bit to, no, we're not. I have one more note. Cassie's disconnect was too disconnected. I just didn't. Again, we could have fixed this by having Izzy or Becca say, well, ever since she started dating Mike, all they want to do is hang out with us is Cassie has to bring Mike everywhere. Cassie has to bring Mike and his friends. Mike and his friends. It's not just Cassie anymore. If you just said that at the beginning of the movie. If you had just said that at the beginning of the movie. That would have solved a lot. Now we're jumping ahead a little bit. To the Forbidden Forest. Wait, that's Harry Potter. The Forbidden Wood. Sarah and Mary's power upgrade is everything. That was everything to me. I loved Sarah's bolts got spoiled for me ahead of time, and I cannot tell you how furious I was about that. I can't tell you how furious I was when I accidentally scrolled past that on, I don't remember if it was Instagram or Facebook. When I scrolled past that and I saw her shoot a bolt, I was like, I hate my life right now, because I would have had my jaw hitting my knees if I had seen that for the first time in the movie. But it got ruined ahead of time for me. But thank God they also gave it to Mary, because I actually screamed when that happened. I was like, if it's just Sarah, I'm going to kind of be a little disappointed. But then she started shooting bolts too, and I was like, yes! Give them power! Let's do this! It was great! I loved it! Oh, I loved it. Their power upgrades was everything. Mary doing the pew-pew was killing me. That was so funny. Sarah just drawing in the ground with her bolts was awesome. And I like how she discovered she could do it by saying, kill him, Winnie, kill him. And then as soon as she flung her finger, bzz, oh my God, that was so good. That was so well executed. That gave me life. But speaking of giving me life, I got validation. I am not the only one who feels this way, and it makes me happy. Sarah got a backbone, even if it was for like 30 seconds. The fact that when Winifred said, stop doing that, you fools, or something like that, or stop playing, you fool, or whatever, Sarah stood up, glared at her, and gave her a zap. And I was just like, oh, Lord, it's happening. I really thought we were about to see her just go join the others. I really did. I was like, oh my God, are we doing this right now? No, we weren't doing that. But we did hear her stand up to Winifred, and it was glorious. It was glorious. I needed that so bad. I feel so validated. The fact that she looked at Winnie with that kind of glare and said, I am not a fool. I am a good and loyal sister, and I should be treated as such. I was done. I was like, case closed, movie's over, I'm good. This is great. Oh my God, it was great. That gave me life, and I'm so happy it happened. Ah, it was so cool. Now, Book betraying Winifred because he cares about the Sanderson sisters was the sweetest thing. Oh wow, I was not expecting to be hurt in that way by a book, but it was good. But speaking of hurting, let's just start talking about that ending, shall we? Oh my God. I was ill-prepared to be gutter-stomped in the way that I was by the feels that were coming out in the last 20 minutes of that movie. Oh Lord, as soon as they started reading that off, and I heard Winifred say, I sacrificed my love tonight, I literally just went, oh no. I did it internally. I don't exactly remember what I did on camera during the full watch along, but you can watch that by clicking on this thing right here. But I had like a wave of, oh no, just to wash over me. I was like, she's gonna kill her sisters! Oh no! I was freaking out internally. I was frozen on the outside though, because I was like, they wouldn't. Oh, they are. That absolutely broke me. That broke me. I could tell it was coming, but I still wasn't prepared. And as soon as Sarah went, Winnie, and she and Mary kind of got lifted up off the ground, and you see the dust starting to happen, I was like, oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no, we're crying whenever the wind is stealing my fingers. Oh God, I was not okay, y'all. I wasn't okay, and I'm still not okay. Whew, that broke me. I was a broken little girl at that point, but it was so beautifully done. I got worse whenever Mary said, oh, Winnie, please don't forget us. I was like, oh, no. Nope. We're done. We're not okay. At that point, the waterworks were flowing. Oh, my gosh. I have now watched this movie 3 times. I have cried all 3 times. I am never getting through this movie without crying. I thought I was going to make it today. I was like, okay, we know it's coming. It's going to be fine. I made it up to the point where they started parting ways, and I was like, we still haven't started crying. 1 tear. Oh, no. And then it really kicked into overdrive when Winifred's monologue started, and I was like, and we're done. And we're crying. Oh, gosh. Yeah, I'm never going to get through it without crying. But how good was that ending? How good was that ending for the Sanderson sisters? That was beautifully done. That was brilliant. That was so good. Oh my gosh, that was so good. It was so good. I'm so glad they did what they did with that. Like, you could not have written a better ending for the Sanderson sisters. That was amazing. We get Winifred really raw and emotional. We actually see the human side to her, where she's talking about losing her sisters, like how much they meant to her. When she straight up said, my powers are nothing without my sisters, I was gone. I couldn't deal with it. It was so great. It was great. And I know some people are like, well, I can't believe that happened, because in the first one she told Max he was a fool to give up his life for his sisters. That's what made it even more beautiful, because she didn't realize just how much she cared about them until they were taken away from her. That was her biggest fear as a child. That's why they turned into witches. That's why they became what they became, because she didn't want to lose her family. And then her ambition and she said, my doing has been my undoing. That was so good. It was so good. I'm getting misty-eyed just thinking about it. Like, how amazing was that? How amazing was Bet in that scene? Jeez, I just, woofa-doofa, that hurt. Oh my God, it was so good. And she repeated what the Mother Witch said. How lucky are thee to have each other. Man. And I liked that when they reunited in the dust, they turned into light. That is how you do a redemption arc without outright doing a redemption arc. Their arc was so good. Their arc was so good. They realized too late how much they cared about each other, and that was the thing that mattered the most. The fact that they turned into light and surrounded the girls for a few minutes before disappearing. Wow. Just what? That broke me. That hit me in the feels like a frickin' truck. And it was so good. It was so good. I loved it. I loved everything about it. That was the perfect ending for the Sanderson sisters. Like, that was the best way you could have sent them off, because we got the sentimental part, but we also got the raw emotion. We got everything we wanted from that ending. Holy crap on a cracker. That was so good. It was so good. I can't get over that ending. That's how you do a redemption arc without doing a redemption arc. It was so perfect. It was so perfect. That was how you send off the Sanderson sisters. That was great. That was great. That was great. That was great. Oh my god, it was great. I love it. But then, after we have all been sobbing for a good few minutes, Gilbert comes in and delivers comic relief at absolutely the most perfect time, and I really, really thank him for doing that, because I wasn't okay at that point, and I'm so glad he came back and was like, "Stop, Sanderson sisters," with Headless Billy next to him. I was like, oh, I needed that. I needed that breath of fresh air for a minute, because ow, my heart. That's the other line that got me. What is this feeling? It's my heart. I think it's breaking. Oh, God. Yeah, we needed that comic relief after that. That was great. Billy getting his rest when he was like, I can get my eternal rest at last. That was great. He got a nice send-off, too. We got to say goodbye to Billy. It was awesome. It was awesome. Overall, like I said, 8 out of 10. It did miss the mark on a couple of things, but, like, not a lot. Not a lot. I loved this movie. The post-credit scene, because everybody's been talking about the post-credit scene. Another black flame candle exists. I'm gonna get into this more later. Clearly it's wide open for another movie. I wish they hadn't done it. Because I love that ending so much. I loved that ending so much for the Sanderson sisters. They're finally at peace. They're reunited. They're together. Don't ruin that. Don't ruin that. That was so good. We don't need them to be brought back again. Like, and I'm saying that as a super fan, as somebody who is very emotionally attached to the Sanderson sisters. I don't want a third one. We don't need a third one. That was so perfect. That was perfect in every way, and I don't want to see that ending ruined. Don't do to Hocus Pocus 2 what Toy Story 4 did to Toy Story 3. It was so good. Don't. And if you do, here's the only way, and I will lay it out in another video. They have to come back as heroes next time. Much to the chagrin of almost everyone, they would have to come back as heroes next time. I'm sorry. Sorry, not sorry. That's what would have to happen. But, real quick before I wrap this up, because I've been talking for an hour. Everyone did great. Every actor in this movie did great. The new kids did great. The young Sanderson sisters were brilliant. Sam Richardson was awesome. I just really enjoy Gilbert. I really enjoy Gilbert. He was fun. He was a great addition. Whitney Peake, Melissa Escobedo, Lilia, I think it's Lilia, Buckingham. All three of them did great in their roles. I wish we'd gotten to know their characters a little bit more, but that's the be careful what you wish for. We got more Sanderson sisters, but we got less time with the kids, and therefore they were a little flat. But I'm so glad we got to see Doug again. I'm so glad Billy came back. I'm happy to see Billy any day of the week. Thank you, Doug, for coming back. You did brilliant. I was so happy he got lines. I was so happy he got more lines this time. I felt bad when he got his mouth sewn back shut. I was like, oh, that was just rude. But it was so fun to see Billy again. And the girls. Yes. The Sanderson sisters are everything. They are the best part of this movie. And they carry it on their backs. And I love it. I hope they've gone to a chiropractor, because I'm sure they're going to need it for carrying this movie on their backs. But all three of them did amazing. I was not expecting that kind of emotion at the end, and all three actresses delivered that so perfectly. Like, wow! Mary still making jokes before she's taken away, Sarah just being terrified but adorable, and then Winifred's raw emotion. Kathy, Bette, and Sarah did so good. They did so good. I'm gonna I'm gonna say, I have to agree with some of the reviews I've seen. SJP was a scene stealer. She was doing really good. Sarah Sanderson was on it. I loved it. It was so refreshing to see that. She was a scene stealer a couple of times, and I wasn't mad about it. I just really enjoyed that. They were clearly having fun together, and that showed, and it made me so happy. All three of them individually do so good in this movie, but together, their chemistry is just amazing. Their chemistry is amazing. Like, there aren't a lot of trios that I think have as good a chemistry as they do. God, they were so good together. They are so good together, and I love it. I love everything about what happened. Kathy is amazing as Mary. She killed it. All right, quick shout out to her, because I saw this in a article briefly. She did half of this movie with a broken rib, y'all. Kathy is our queen. She is a freaking warrior. Holy moly. I read that and I was like, you were doing all that with a broken rib? Holy cow. But, jeez, that was awesome. She did awesome. Mary came back as strong as ever. Sarah came back with some character growth, which I loved. I liked that SJP kept her charm, but she also gave her a little bit more, I don't want to say authority, but then she gave her more of a backbone, and it was great. It was great. She did so good. She was so funny. Oh, gosh, and Bet just crushed it. She just crushed it. It was, you know, Winifred's her favorite character she's ever played, and you could tell Winifred's her favorite character she's ever played. All three of them did so good. Everyone did good. All the new people did good. I love this movie. I love this movie. It was such a fun movie. And I know there are a lot of you out there who were disappointed because it didn't live up to the first one. It wasn't as good as the first one. Again, rarely are things as good as their first one. That's the problem with sequels. That's the danger with sequels. But this was a sequel that worked. And it worked in the best ways. I know there have been a lot of negative reviews on it. But I have been talking for an hour and 2 minutes about how much fun... I talked about the specifics and my opinions on the specifics. And I did recognize that it has flaws. But overall, this was a really fun movie. It was a fun ride. It just makes you feel good. And then it really just smashes you with the emotions. But it's because we all love the Sanderson sisters so much. That's why that ending just kind of steamrolled us. Because it was such a good movie. It was such a good movie. It was such a good story. Yes, some things could have been fixed. But we got Hocus Pocus too. I never thought this day would come. And now I've watched it 3 times. And it's so good. It's so good. I had so much fun with this movie. I can't wait to watch it over and over and over and over. And I will still be doing that for the next several days. It's just so much fun. It was so much fun. It was so iconic. I love this movie. I love this movie. I'll be one to say it wasn't as good as the first one, but it was different. It was different, and I think that's what a lot of people weren't crazy about, was because it was different. But if it had been the same thing, they would have been mad again. You can't please everyone. And this wasn't going to please everyone, but it pleased the heck out of me, and it, honest to God, healed me. It healed me. I am so happy that we have this movie. I am so happy it exists. I am so happy I got to watch this in my lifetime. I'm so happy I had something to live for a long time. I am so happy this movie is a thing, and I had so much fun with it. I love this movie, and I'm going to watch it over and over and over. I have another emotional support movie, even though it decimated my emotions at the end of it, as I've said a few times now. But it was so good, and I'm so glad we have it. And I'm so glad it exists. And I loved every second of it. Which is why we don't need to really do a trilogy. If you want my opinion, if you want to do a trilogy, do a prequel. It will be safer. Or we'll talk about my idea of how a Hocus Pocus 3 would work in a couple of days. But it was so good. It was so good. It hit all the right places. It was a lot of fun. It had its flaws, but it was just brilliant. And it was great. Everyone in it was great. The music was great. We have 2 new bangers of songs. We have the Sanderson sisters back with us, even though we knew they were going to be taken away from us at the end. But the way they were taken out was so different that it doesn't feel like we lost them this time. It feels like they are always going to be with us now as guardians instead of enemies. I loved it. Oh my gosh. This is a very long video again, but that's my spoiler review. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to drop a like and subscribe if you haven't. It's free. It helps me, and what helps me helps you guys get more great content like this. Thank you guys so much for being patient with me while I was trying my hardest to get the full watch along out. It dropped about 2 a.m. this morning. I had been working on it for at least a solid 12 or more hours, almost a full day. I'm not gonna lie to you. It was almost a full 24 hours that I worked on that. But it was so good. This movie was so good, and I would do it again if I had to. But I don't want to mess with it for a while, because that wildly frustrated me by the end of it. But, oh my gosh. Thank you for being patient with me. I have a great community on here. That being said, because some of us liked it and some of us didn't, I am going to be combing the comments, and if I see you guys being ugly towards each other, ooh, y'all are gonna be in deep trouble. You're gonna be in deep trouble. Don't start fights. Don't disrespect each other for having different opinions. That's not what we do around here. Okay? Okay. I know you guys are really looking forward to when I get the Discord up. I'm working on it, but I'm also uploading like every day this week, so I'm still trying to find the time to sit down and actually work on the Discord. When I'm not working on this, I'm resting. But if you're a regular on this channel, please remember to drop a like and share your thoughts on the spoiler review down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Casey Zogelman, aka the 4th Sanderson sister, and I will see you witches and wizards later. I have put a spell on you.